Softly as in a morning sunrise, the light of love comes stealing into a newborn day. Flaming with all the glow of sunrise, a burning kiss is stealing the violet all.
Hello and welcome. My name is Svetlana Stone. You are watching Artist Voices, where we believe it's essential for artist voices to be heard. And we are pleased to have Elise Townsend here at Public Media Network to learn about what does it mean or take to be a musician in the 21st century. Thank you for watching us. And thank you so much, Lise, for coming here and being with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We are so glad and eager to learn more about you. And could you please tell us about yourself and how you get to Kalamazoo?
Yeah, so I most closely identify as a jazz vocalist and as an educator. I went to school for my undergrad at Western Michigan University as well as my master's. And I came here in 2009 for my undergrad. It was a part of the Gold Company program and of course the amazing choirs at Western while pursuing my degree in music education. Then for a few years I taught in the classroom, taught some middle school choir, and then I went back and got my master's during the pandemic in jazz voice and got the opportunity to direct GC2, the part of the Gold Company program, for my master's.
So you said your first degree was in education, right? And
Yes.
during the pandemic, you decided to get your master in jazz performances, correct?
Yes.
So why did you take this passion?
Yeah, so I was teaching in the classroom and I really loved working with students, but I really found that I really wanted to help each individual student and really give every student exactly what they needed, but I found I couldn't. I didn't really use all of my skills to the best of its ability when I was teaching a large group, so I really ventured out to be a private voice instructor and work in that capacity, and I really found much more of my calling of working with students one-on-one. And I felt like getting a degree in vocal performance, specifically in jazz vocal performance, it was really helpful to work on artistry so that I could work on that aspect with my private students.
And I saw you in work. You're very detail oriented. You're very passionate about jazz, and especially jazz vocal ensembles, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And could you tell us more about this?
Absolutely. It's probably vocal jazz really in a voice group setting, which really got me into jazz in the first place. I was really, really fortunate in my growing up in my hometown of Cicero, New York. We had a vocal jazz ensemble, not only at the high school level, but also at the junior high level. And it was in singing in this sort of ensemble where we were one on a microphone and really working on blend in a really small setting and usually working on more difficult music and just kind of working with a really just hard-working, like-minded group of individuals. That just really fueled my passion. And I was really drawn to the harmony of jazz. There's just so many options of harmonies that you could use. And so it led me here where, it was completely undoubting that Western was the place that I needed to go. As an undergrad student, I, had seen clips of Gold Company and just dreamed of being in that group. And so I'm just incredibly humbled to be the director of Gold Company 2 and getting the opportunity to really use my passion to work with students and, hopefully give them at least a little bit of that experience that I had as a student.
And you talk about the harmony, and I know you are doing music arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something new, or you've done it before? Could you share to us about this?
I have written a couple arrangements now for GC2, and arranging is something that I've always been drawn to, even in high school. those are not necessarily arrangements I would like people to see right now. However, I was always really drawn to it, and I started getting my start in arranging by really just kind of transcribing different harmonies of things that I had heard, and then I would kind of start to extrapolate and put in my own spin on things, and then I took all of the arranging and composition, jazz composition classes at Western, and learned a little bit more about like the mechanics behind the arranging, and learned a little bit more of the theory and like the full scope of harmony. And then I've also had a really awesome opportunity to take jazz piano lessons with Matt Freeze at Western, and he has really broadened my idea of harmony, and so that has been really helpful as well in my arranging.
So are you planning to take it to like the next level, so that other musicians or maybe group would interesting to find your arrangements in the future?
Yeah, so one of the arrangements I wrote last year for GC2 was a Rosanna Eckert and Peter Eldridge tune entitled Sailing Home. And I actually got that published through Anchor Music Publishers last spring. So that one is available for all ensembles, and it's available in SATB, SAB, and SSAA voicings. So it's really accessible to a lot of different ensembles. And the one I just wrote for GC2 right now is an arrangement of Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And that is definitely on my radar to get it published, but I'm gonna let working on it with GC2 just kind of iron out a couple of the little bumps that I want to work through with it.
It's very interesting because I just had interview professor from Western, and he was mentioned that to have like many different skills is really bring into and help you to in many different aspects. And I know you teach Gold Company, and could you tell me please how like when you see musicians in front of you and singing, being part of jazz ensemble, it's not easy, and it's not jazz is not like that people think. It sounds very simple and very pretty, but could you tell what kind of work involved, what effort, or maybe like there's something that people never see because they only see the Gold Company perform or Liz perform, and then think you just wake up and make it happen.
Yeah, so there are definitely a lot of layers to that, and one of the things that you just brought up where it's just like having to have a lot of different skills, and I really feel like just being well versed in a lot of different areas is definitely one of the biggest things that a musician in today's world really needs. So one of my biggest passions and backgrounds is really understanding like just vocal function and like the really technical side of like a vocal technique, and I feel like that hugely plays a role in how I educate in GC2 and how I educate in my private studio as well. But I really use the very technical, just anatomical things of like how it sounds are produced and what sounds that I'm looking for in the vocal jazz ensemble. And I think, frankly, in the ensemble setting, I think because I've just been listening to this music and performing this music and rehearsing this music for more than half of my life at this point, I think for me it's kind of integrated into my DNA at this point, where it's a little bit there, but it definitely does not come without having to think about some of the technical things, especially when I'm working with students that are brand new to the art form, and trying to explain different aspects and trying to like convey what is going to help make this music come to life.
Thank you. Thank you, Liz. those of you who just tuned in, we are here with the local vocal jazz musician, Liz, to talk about what does it take to be a musician in the 21st century. And thank you for being with us. Liz, and thank you so much for coming in, sharing with us your story. We've talked about some challenges that some musician may face, and one of them I want to ask you, because you're a vocalist, you are a singer, besides that technique that you mentioned that you have to polish and work on that. The voice is a very fragile instrument. How, what kind of challenges vocalists may face that people who listen them don't know or have no clue?
Definitely. I could definitely look at this from several different angles, but one is your voice and your whole body is your instrument, and you bring your instrument everywhere you go with you. So as a vocalist, you have to be mindful of, how loud am I speaking? Loud crowds, and making sure that you're not speaking over those crowds, making sure that you're, not sitting in vocal fry when you're, tired, and making sure that you're well hydrated, and making sure that, you're always treating your voice like you need to sing, because, I sing every day of the week between, practice and teaching. So that's a huge challenge as a vocalist, just being mindful of my voice at all times of the day, whether I'm working on music or not. Another huge challenge as a vocalist, I'm thinking from like a jazz side of things, is you very much need to hear everything that you're about to sing. Like when I'm playing piano, if I want to hear a diminished triad, I can just play the diminished triad. But as a vocalist, you need to be able to hear that before it comes out. And I feel like that is not always considered when you look at a vocalist, and you need to, there's a lot of things a vocalist needs to have orally down before they can sing it.
So there's also in order to keep with that, you also probably have to practice, right? All those your oral skills, in order to hear all those chords or tunes that you need to sing before you sing, and it's also take a time in practice.
Yeah, but that's such a thing that I very much integrate into all of my vocalizations, and with my voice students. My professor at Western, Greg Jaspers, actually presented on this at the Jazz Education Network conference, and he put together several exercises that you can suit to whatever the abilities are of the students that you're working with, or for yourself. Where when you're doing your vocal exercises, instead of doing just like a da 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 da, then you can make it a seventh chord, da 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 da, and work on the different qualities of chords. So it's kind of stuff that you can multitask. So while you're doing all of your vocal exercises to make sure that your voice is warmed up, you can also be working on those oral skills at the same time.
Yeah, and I was able to attend one of your workshop, how to take care of voice, and I was amazed of how much science behind that. So I was really thrilled.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm incredibly passionate about vocal health and vocal technique. I find that just like Rosanna Eckert always says, is you have X number of vocal dollars a day, meaning you can only spend so much with your voice every day. And when you have a vocal load where you're teaching for 4 hours a day, doing your own practice, directing ensembles, there's a lot of voice use there. So balancing that with exercises to really maintain the voice and make sure that you can be vocally present at all of your commitments is really important.
Thank you. Liz, and can you please tell us about your information, how people can find your website, maybe Instagram, any pages that they can follow you and find information about your future performances?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me at liztownsendmusic.com. So that's just my name, liztownsendmusic.com. I'm also, on all of the social medias. You can just search me by name. It's pretty quick to find me. But yeah, and then I'll say that, I'm regularly gigging around town in Kalamazoo, and I usually post about it on social media, and it's also always listed on my website. So that's where people can find me. But also, GC2 and Gold Company are performing at Western on November 4th. So that's an opportunity to see the ensemble that I've been working with for the last few years.
And is there anything else that you would like to share that maybe we missed?
I feel like music is such a wonderful thing to bring people together. I feel like after the pandemic of everyone being separate, I feel like coming together and having the opportunity to work with the vocal jazz ensemble GC2 at Western, and to get the opportunity to work with students again in person has been such the most incredible, fulfilling thing. And I feel like it made it very obvious just how much this is definitely the right path for me, and I'm happy to be doing it, and I really appreciate you having me on today.
Thank you, Liz. And we forgot to mention where the people can find your arrangement, how they can get the jazz vocal ensembles. So
yes, that is available.
That is available.
That's available through my website,
Through
and
your
you
website.
can, if you go to my website, it will bring you to Anchor Music Publishing. So,
As you also have your music on iTunes or Spotify.
Not yet, but there are some things in the works.
That's good. So thank you so much. We appreciate your taking time and come in and tell us about you and what does it take to be a musician in the 21st century. We are so thankful. Thank you so much, Liz.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, this concludes this episode of Artist Voices, where we believe it's essential for artist voices to be heard. And we are so thankful to Liz to coming and being with us tonight. Thank you for watching us, and see you next time.